So the NS Eccentric or Eccentric 2019 steel or chromoly hardtail. We got plus tyres. So these rims are 40mm external diameter. So I'm assuming about 37, 38mm internal diameter. Probably closer to the 37 mark. How you going, buddy? What's up? 3-inch high roller 2 3C max tyre at the front, and a 2.8 rekon XOTR, so just a dual compound. Now, I've had this bike for quite a while. I've only really done a few trail rides on it. I've done a fair bit of commuting. I've done a lot more commuting than I have trail riding on it, to be honest. Now, seat angle, let's just start at the start. Seat angle's not steep enough. I think it's around the 74 mark, and which is fine for commuting. It's no worries for cruising around, but when you're climbing hills, it's too far back. You're sitting too far back once that seat's up. So not a big fan of that. Climbing position. Still get it done. I still climbed. I didn't Strava it, but I most certainly am sure that I climbed the fastest that I've climbed up to the top of the forecourse mill, so the top of, basically to Crafers, to the top of Ewok. Super easy to climb, and that's with the tyres at 15 at the front and 17 at the back. Now, back to the tyres themselves, because I really want to, so I'll describe what I'm thinking. I really want to try this bike, even though I'm already not super stoked with the seat angle. It's got 170 cranks, a bit longer than I'd like. The tyres make this bike feel less capable. Now, that's not to hate on fat tyres or plus tyres or anything like that, but I can't charge as hard and I can't control the bike as well with these fat tyres as I can with a normal set of tyres. They basically feel like 29ers, which is not, it's got nothing to do with the control or not being able to charge. They more or less feel like the back end definitely feels 29er-ish. It's got that bang, bang, bang in the back. They're just big wheels. So I started at 18 PSI or 19 even, 18, 17, 16, and I ended up, I think I did 16 and 18 to start with. And one of you guys commented on, it was either my Insta or one of the videos, I think it was one of the videos I did, mentioned that you run 15 PSI in your front, 17 in your rear. So I did 15, 17, and I found some grip at the front, which is good. At 16 and above, there was a little bit of grip. 16 was as close as I got before I tried the 15. There was grip, but the grip isn't consistent. When you hit a corner really, really hard, you load in on it. If it's an undulating corner or a bumpy corner, it feels like when it goes over those bumps, the bike bobs, the tyre bobs, and the grip just disappears on you. And once it's gone, you just slide until you're on the ground, which I didn't crash, but I had a few slides. So I wasn't really into that feeling. Once I dropped it to 15, the front end had the grip that I was looking for. I had better grip. Still a little bit, no, actually it was pretty good. The grip was pretty good at the front. The bobbing was still there, but it wasn't really letting go. But what I did notice is it tracks and it kind of stays tracked. So at that lower PSI, low enough to get grip, it's a hard bike to change direction on it. And if you kind of front end, you kind of dive the front end into something, that tyre spreads and it just gives a really unnerving feeling, especially if you hit something really hard. It kind of, I guess the rim just wobbles either side of the tyre ever so slightly. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not as bad as I used to think they were. I used to think they were terrible. I really, really did not like fat tyres. But after commuting on this for a while and getting a couple of good trail rides in on it, I feel like it's better. I'd still, for me, 2.6 is the biggest tyre I'd run. 2.6 is well and truly big enough to get all your grip, all the grip in the world, all the grip that you need. Still good rolling resistance, which talking about rolling resistance again, I thought that this 3-inch donk, this big fat 3-inch high roller 2, I thought it was going to be slow and sluggish, but it's the fastest bike I've commuted on, and it's the fastest bike I've climbed on, so quite impressed with that. I feel like it's hard to say. I don't know whether it was just the tyres or a little bit of a relationship as well with this handlebar. So it's a nukeproof handlebar, nukeproof Horizon handlebar. Not sure if it's I think it's the older one. I don't know whether they've changed their sweep or not, but it feels like it's got too much back sweep. Forever I was going back and forth trying to find that sweet spot, and I found the sweet spot for this bar and stem, but it's just not, it doesn't inspire me with confidence. The grips I don't like. These Horizon grips, they're average. They're really thick. If you like a thick grip, they're cool, but I really don't like how much wasted end there is. Like, you can't grip onto that. It's only going to hurt your hand if you hit something with your hand on that. It's slippery, and it takes up, that's almost 10 millimeters. It takes up almost 10 millimeters of your grip, so you're hanging out 10 millimeters past what you need to. So I don't like that. Don't like the bars at all, to be honest. I felt like I couldn't really hold on to that front end. If it wanted to dance, it'd dance. It'd kind of dart left or dart right. And I think it's partially a combination between the bar and the tyre. I don't think it's just the tyre. Head angle is about 65. It might be just under 65, so nice and slack. But it didn't feel, the bike didn't feel very confidence inspiring. So like I said, this isn't an official review of this bike. It's more of a talk about these tyres, because this bike may well and truly be more capable. And I don't want to write it off, because I'm simply just not giving it a fair test. So if I can get some normal size tyres, it's a normal size tyres and wheels. So being that it's a 11 speed at the back, I couldn't put my wheel on it. 11 speed and a Shimano setup. I couldn't put my wheel on it, so that was out of the question. But I'm really not sure about these fat tyres, to be honest. If you guys like them, I know there's plenty of people who absolutely love the fat tyres, and I think they're fine for cruising around, but when you're trying to thread the needle or get your bike in and out of, you know, tight situations and through a chunky rock section, you're almost guaranteed to cut these where you could just plow a 2.5 through or a 2.4 straight through the middle. There's so much more stuff to bounce off of. When I did drop it to that low pressure, I did find I had a lot more suppleness. It was much, much more supple. It felt really, really good. 17 on the back almost felt like too much. I think I could run 16. I wouldn't run 15. 15's too squishy. I'd run 16 on the back, and it's crazy how much 1 PSI makes at this low pressure with these big tyres. I think 1 PSI at 16 PSI makes the same difference as 2 PSI makes at 25 PSI. So there was quite a noticeable difference. So the sweet spot is probably for your everyday rider, depending on your weight. I'm only 72 kilos, so anywhere between 14 and 17 PSI for the front and 15 to 20 PSI at the back, I guess. Rekon at the back was terrible. No grip. Absolutely no grip. At 17 PSI, there was still no grip. Still bouncing off of everything, and I think it's partially to do with the big tyres. They're just like, you just got bouncy balls at the front and the back of your bike. And if you run them soft enough to not be bouncy balls, they're... It feels like I'm riding in sand. That's probably the best way to describe it. It feels not slow, but the inability to change direction quickly on the front. It's a little bit like it's in the sand. When it's feeling good and grippy at the front, it's a little bit like it's in the sand. It's probably the best way I can describe it. If I was to run that Rekon any lower, I'm almost sure I'd cut it. Or I'd dent the rim. So I really don't think there's a great compromise for me, for my style of riding, and for my, I guess it's what I'm used to and what I feel. So there's guys that I know that absolutely slay on 2.8 tyres on e-bikes and whatnot. And so, yeah, all fair to them. They're obviously making it work for them. But for me, 2.6 is the max tyre I'd run. And that's talking about the 2.6 Maxxis. I know there's some tyres that they're 2.6 that are quite really, really big. So maybe, you know, take that into consideration. But if these things work for you, let me know, because like I said, I haven't spent a lot of time, but I've done a few solid trail rides. I've probably done 4 solid trail rides on it, and I just really, really could not find a comfortable, happy, fun, confident setup. So yeah, bit of a shame. The NS Eccentric, this is definitely not a knock on the bike as such. I really can't talk about whether this bike stacks up, and I'm trying to kind of compare it. I want to compare this and some other hardtails to the Paradox, but at the moment, this thing it doesn't even hold a candle to how hard I could slay on that Paradox. The Banshee Paradox V3 just absolutely munched this thing in this configuration anyway for breakfast. So better set of bars, a 29er at the front and a 27.5 on the back would be a proper comparison against the Banshee. For now, I'm just going to say not a fan of the fat tyres. If you're on the fence and you haven't tried them, I don't think it's a worthy investment, especially considering if you're going to go fat tyres properly, you're going to have to go a wider internal rim. There's a big there's a lot of things to do along the chain in order for them to work how they're designed to work. And for me, I like to ride fast and with confidence. So they're not for me. Unfortunately, fat tyres do not work for me. So hopefully soon I can get some decent tyres on this thing or get another hardtail, set it up and get a more objective comparison, as in steel hardtails versus aluminium hardtails, directly against the Banshee Paradox, because that thing absolutely blew my mind. In 29er, it was bound. The back end of the Banshee felt almost the same as the back end of this when I had the 29er on it. When I put the 27.5 on the Banshee, it was way better at the back, way better. So, yeah, we'll see. This 27.5 Plus just felt like a 29er at the back. It was bouncy, hard to control, and you had to be cautious and tentative. So, no good for the fat tyres for me for now. But stay tuned. We'll see if we can improve this ride on the NS or another steel hardtail and get a proper review. But I definitely do want to do a proper review of the NS because I haven't done it any justice yet, and it's unfair for me to say that it doesn't ride very well or it doesn't inspire me with confidence since I haven't set it up with a setup that I'd prefer. So we'll see. Stay tuned.